Most teachers set up their AI account in about 45 seconds. Type in your email, pick a password, and just start using it. It's exactly why your student data might be sitting in training data sets right now. And we could have absolutely no idea. I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying it because nobody told me either, and I wish they had. So today, we're fixing that. I want to walk you through exactly how to set up Claude. And if you're using ChatGPT, I'll cover you too. So that your AI is actually private, actually useful, and actually set up like a professional instead of a person who just found a new app. It's going to take about 10 minutes, so let's get into it. Here's the thing about AI tools that no one puts in the staff newsletter. When you type something into ChatGPT or Claude, that conversation goes somewhere by default. And this is the key word, by default. A lot of AI platforms use your conversations to help train and improve their models. Now, for most people, that's fine, but you're a teacher. You're typing things like, write a report comment for a student who struggles with attention and has an IEP for reading support. Or, here are 3 parent email drafts. Help me rewrite the one about Jake's behaviour this week. Jake. His name is Jake, and Jake's business just became a little more public than it needed to be. This isn't about AI being evil. It's just about default settings that weren't designed with teachers in mind. And once you know what to switch off and what to switch on, you're operating completely differently. So we're going to cover 3 things today. 1, privacy settings. What to turn off so your conversations stay yours. 2, setting up Claude Projects, which is a secret weapon for keeping your AI actually organised as a teacher. And 3, memory and context, teaching your AI about your class, your style, and your situation once. So you stop re-explaining yourself every single session. Let's start with the one that matters the most. Okay, so you're in ChatGPT, you've got your interface open. First thing we're going to do is head down to your profile. Usually down here, it's a little icon on your name, down here in the bottom left. Click that. We're going to go into settings. Now, you're in settings. We are going to look for data controls. And now this is the one that matters. Up here, improve the model for everyone. You can see it's on. So we're going to go into that. This toggle, like I said, it's on, means OpenAI can use your conversations to train future versions of GPT. So turn it off. Easy done. Just like that, your conversations are now opted out of training data. And this is important. It doesn't delete anything that's already been set. It just stops future conversations from being used. So think of it like finally putting a lid on the bin. The stuff that was already in there is still in there, but nothing new is going to go in. So while we're here, we're just going to check the shared links folder. Look, if you've ever used shared links or the shared chat feature, those links are going to be listed here. I haven't used them as this is a new account for ChatGPT for me, so I don't have anything. But otherwise, you will get a small trash can here, which I can show you on this one. One sec. Data controls, shared link. You can see that I shared this folder. I can just delete that shared link if I so choose. Look, if you want a fresh slate entirely, there is the delete all chats option at the bottom. Here, that wipes your entire conversation history. So if you've been typing student names or details in there, it could be worth doing. Now, let's do the same thing in Claude. This is actually where I spend most of my time, so pay attention here. Same deal. We're going to go to account settings, Claude AI. Again, that's in the bottom left. Click your name or profile picture. Then we're going to come up to settings, go to privacy. Now, here's something important that changed in late 2025, and it is worth knowing about. Anthropic, the company behind Claude, updated their privacy policy, and with it came a setting called Help Improve Claude. This controls whether your conversations can be used to train future AI models. The key thing to know is that this setting may have been turned on by default. It's all going to depend on when you signed up or what you clicked during onboarding. So the first thing I want you to do is scroll down and check. So here we can see Help Improve Claude is turned on. I would recommend turning it off. Look, especially if you're having any conversations involving students, school data, or anything sensitive. Look, if you opt out, your chats aren't used for training and are only retained for about 30 days if you leave it on. Anthropic can retain that data for up to 5 years. For school use, though, opting out is the right call. Now, even with that setting off, there's still a handy extra layer. We have incognito conversion mode, incognito mode. Think of it like a private browsing window, but for AI. Nothing from the session is saved and it's excluded from model training regardless of your other settings. I use this whenever I'm drafting anything involving specific student names or circumstances I'd prefer to keep completely contained. And then the other setting worth knowing is about memory. But we'll come back to that in step 3 because that's actually the useful side of this. Okay, privacy sorted. Now we get into the good stuff. Projects. Look, if you're not using projects in Claude, you're doing AI like it's 2023. Here's a problem with just opening a new chat every time you need something. You spend the first 5 messages just setting the scene. I'm a teacher, I work in a high school. I have a class with mixed curriculum levels. Some students have IEPs. We follow the Australian curriculum every single time. Projects fixes this. You set the context once, and every conversation you have inside that project already knows it. So let's show you how to set one up. Coming over to projects here in the sidebar, when you click that, we're going to hit new project. And we're going to give it a name that actually means something. So as you could see before, I already had SOP class 2026. We're going to make one Year 9 Science. They're going to stay completely separate, which means the AI doesn't bleed context between them. Now, and this is the real magic bit, there's a project instructions field, or what are you trying to achieve? This is where you're going to write a one-time brief that every future chat in this project will automatically have. So here's an example of something. I'll type this out. We're just going to copy and paste something in. You are helping a high school special education teacher in South Australia. My class includes students across a wide range of curriculum levels, some following the ABLES framework, some on modified Australian curriculum outcomes. Students range from year 8 to 10. I often need differentiated resources, IEP style language, and practical classroom activities. My tone is direct and warm. Avoid jargon unless I ask for it. Never include student names in outputs unless I provide them. That last line, never include student names in outputs unless I provide them. It's a habit worth building into every project brief. It just gives you that little extra guardrail putting in place. So now every conversation inside this project is going to open with that context baked in. Now you can just start working. All right, same concept, different tool. If you're a ChatGPT user, Projects is going to work for you too. Let me show you how to set one up. So we're in ChatGPT here. We're going to look for a new project or projects over in the left sidebar. We come over to new. And once again, we want to name it. Let's go with, Health PE this time and hit create project. When we're creating our first project, it's going to bring us straight into it, but we need to update it. So we're going to come back to projects. Here you can see our project folder. I want you to click on the 3 dots. We're going to come to project settings. And now we've got the option to put in some instructions. So just like in Claude, we're going to write in our instructions here. I've just copied and pasted, slightly different from the last one since we're doing year 8 health and PE. But down the bottom, never include student names in outputs unless I provide them. Same last line as in Claude, no student names unless I give them. Always. Every project brief, it's just a non-negotiable. Now, I want to be straight with you here because I think it's worth understanding the difference. Claude projects are designed for long-term consistency. You can load it up with files, documents, curriculum resources, and it holds all of that as active context for every conversation inside that project. It's built for specialized ongoing work. ChatGPT uses a slightly different approach under the hood. It retrieves the context rather than holding it all at once, which means it can occasionally miss something you upload, or it can lose a thread across a long session. It's not a deal breaker, but it does make it better suited to broad conversation tasks tasks than deep, specialized ones. For most teachers doing general planning and resource creation, like, you won't notice a difference. But if you're building something layered, like a whole unit or a student support plan, something that needs like real consistency across multiple sessions, that's where Claude's going to earn its place. The other thing worth knowing, in ChatGPT, you can upload files to your project, like PDFs or Word documents, even images. In Claude, you can do that as well, but you can also paste in raw text directly, which makes it easier to quickly drop in a web page content or notes without formatting them first. Look, overall, neither of these is better across the board. I do use both. ChatGPT is good for quick turnaround, but Claude when I need something more in depth and contextually consistent. But the project habit, is the same in both tools. Set the context once, start working. So, curious, before watching this, did you know that AI platforms could use your chat for training? Drop a yes or no in the comments. I'm not here to judge. I didn't know what that meant until I actually went looking for it. And hey, if this is already saving you a headache, please give this video a like. It helps other teachers find it, and honestly, it just tells me this is the kind of stuff worth making more of. All right, we're going to get back to it. We've got one more step, and it's the one that's actually going to make your AI feel like your AI. Step 4 is about memory, and this works a bit differently across tools. So let's break it down. In Claude, memory inside a project works through two things. First, the project instructions that we set up. That's your standing brief, the stuff Claude always knows walking into every conversation with. But second, and this is the part that we generally miss, Claude also learns from you within a conversation. You can tell it to update how it responds, adjust its tone, change its output format, and it'll hold that for the rest of the session. And if something works really well, go back and add it to your project instructions permanently. It takes 30 seconds. So ultimately, you're never stuck. You're always in control of exactly what it knows and exactly what it does with that. As the year goes on and your class changes, new students, new units, new priorities, you just edit the brief and it'll evolve with you. And in a future video, I'll walk you through the specific instructions I use for different projects: unit planning, excursion organisation, IEP drafting, because the setup for each of those does look pretty different. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. Now, ChatGPT. ChatGPT has a feature called memory, and it works a bit more automatically than Claude's approach. Find it when we go to our profile, back into settings, personalization, and if we scroll down, we'll see that memory here is either on or off. For me, it's on. When it's on, ChatGPT quietly builds a picture of you over time. Your preferences, your role, how you like things formatted, without you having to tell it every session. It's convenient, but convenient also means you need to keep an eye on it. Going to manage memory. Now, for me, being a new account, there's nothing really here. But as you build it out, you'll see a list of everything that's stored about you. Make sure you scroll through it every few weeks. Anything in there references a student, a specific incident, or anything you'd rather not have sitting in a memory bank, delete it. 2 seconds, gone. And then here's the power tip that applies to both tools. You don't have to wait for the AI to figure you out. You can just tell it. Remember that I prefer resources in table format. Remember that my students work best with visual supports. Remember that I'm working within the ABLES framework this term. Say it like that, type it in, literally, those words. It will lock it in. And that's the shift. From using AI as a search engine you type questions into, to using it as a thinking partner that actually knows your context. Your AI will start working with you and not just for you. Real quick, let me give you the 5-point checklist to run through right now before you close this video. So 1, go to ChatGPT settings, data controls, turn off improve the model for everyone. 2, delete any shared chat links you've created that might contain student info. 3, set up at least one project with a custom instruction brief, one for each class or context that you use AI for. 4, Add this line to every project instruction brief. Never include student names in outputs unless I provide them. And 5, if you're using ChatGPT memory, open the memory list and clear anything sensitive. 5 things, takes you 10 minutes, done. Here's the thing I want you to take away from this. AI tools are not automatically private, but they are configurable. And once you configure them, once you spend that 10 minutes doing what we just did, you can use these tools confidently without constantly wondering whether you accidentally putting student information somewhere it shouldn't be. You're a professional, set your tools up like one. Now, the natural next step from here is figuring out which tool you actually want to set up, because Claude and ChatGPT are genuinely different, and most teachers are using whatever they stumbled into first without ever asking if it's the right choice. So next week's video is an honest side-by-side comparison of what I actually use each one for as a teacher. And spoiler, I do use both, just not for the same thing. And if you're new here, I'm a special ed teacher. I make videos about using AI in real classrooms for real teachers with real students. Subscribe if that sounds like your kind of thing. And I'll see you in the next one.